walnut bars, and right now I'm grinding the nuts for. I do about 1 pound to 1.5 pounds. And I grind them kind of a little more than medium. Want them fine. Fine, not pulverized. Little coarser.
So these are a little finer than Betlewa.
Yeah. Okay. Now I will flavor them. I'm going to use orange blossom water. You put your flavoring first to allow your, start over again? You do your flavoring first to allow the nuts to dry up a little. Then, I'd say this is about not quite a tablespoon of orange blossom water. And you stir it thoroughly so that everything gets flavored. And the nuts will not you see what happens?
Oh, yes.
And then when they allow them to, you don't allow the nuts to dry.
Oh, it clumps up.
They clump up, and when you put the sugar on them, then you got rocks.
Okay.
So you have to allow this to more or less dry out. Okay. Now we will do yours.
Okay.
Little Oscar is 1 pound.
Okay, two of those little Oscars is 1 pound. Okay.
Now I got 2. Do you want to do them separately? All right. Then we'll have to take 1 pound out and then, come on, baby. There you go. You got to talk to this stuff. All right. This is yours. Now, we will put 2 eggs with the butter.
And we're using 1 pound butter.
1 pound of butter.
Softened butter.
Left out overnight, covered, so that it'd be soft. Now, you will add 2 eggs to the pound of butter.
They don't have to be room temperature though, the eggs.
No, as you can see. This is the sloppy part of it all.
That's right.
Trying to get the butter and the eggs. As you can see, the butter is very, very soft. And what you do is you have to assimilate the egg and the butter as much as you can. And you kind of squish it in your hand, with your hand to join them.
Yep.
Now we'll add the flour. 6 to 7 cups of flour that are dipped. You loosen the flour in the bag
Okay.
to make it easy to dip.
So it's not a packed flour, it's not packed down, it's just
No,
lightly
you have to loosen it. Where the hell did you come from? I don't know, I didn't use it. And as you can see, I'm loosening the
Yeah.
flour in the bag. And 6 to 7 cups.
Okay.
Because you don't sift it.
Yeah.
And it's all done by hand, you can't use the machine.
Okay, good.
That's 3.
Yeah.
There's 4.
Now you know you use about 5 to 6 by the feel. I mean, you say 6 cups of flour. It's not 5 or 6. Just it's 6 cups.
6.
Okay.
Not 5.
Okay.
6 to 7 cups.
Okay.
Now where am I? 4?
4.
Five. And there's 6. We'll go with that. And if we need a 7th one to tighten up the dough, then we'll add it. But see, being dipped, it's not scientific. Okay. Now you mix the flour until it looks almost like pie crust.
Okay.
Try to get it as well combined as possible before you add the water.
Now, how much water are you adding about?
About half to a cup.
Okay.
We start with a half a glass of water.
Warm water, cold, medium temperature?
Feel it.
Yeah, cool. Just
Yeah,
cool.
It's lukewarm.
Okay.
Right in all around. And you may need to add just a touch more.
Okay.
God, I don't I think the last time I made this, I made it with Thelma.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. Now it's coming together nicely. It'll come together like silk.
Uh-huh.
Okay. And you divide the dough into 6 portions. as evenly as possible.
Okay.
Give or take a little.
Okay. So 6 like dough balls.
6 dough balls.
Yep. Oh yeah, they are really not a little sticky, but nice and silky.
Yeah. Well, so you have to let them rest a little.
Uh-huh.
So they rest while you're doing the rest of your prep.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Now, but after they rest, all the butter comes through and they just look like silk.
Now, how long would you let them sit there and rest for?
Oh, until you
Finish
get
the rest
things operational.
Okay, okay.
Because you don't want a tight dough.
Okay.
I don't know if I should have added a touch more flour. Now is the time to do it.
Mm-hmm. Now, can you, at this point, if you wanted to do this, could you make this a day ahead and then bake them the next day? Like keep that dough in the fridge overnight like that, or no? Would you would
I've
want?
never done it. I don't know.
Okay.
Well. Now, you kind of let them rest while you get your other preps done, such as pull out your trays, get the table ready, and finish your sugar, your nuts. Now you'll add the sugar to your nuts.
Okay.
By now, the nuts have dried enough
Yeah, with the
so they won't clump up on you into rocks.
Okay. So you add, just sprinkle the flour over the dough if it's too wet and remix it and reform the balls. So you just sprinkle it to tighten it up. Okay. If they're too moist, too wet.
Into the nuts and stir them.
You don't ever add cinnamon or anything to the nuts?
No, no. No, no. This is 3/4 of a cup.
Okay.
And you want a cup of sugar.
Mm-hmm.
See what I mean? See
Oh,
how
yeah, the clumps.
see how they clump up? And if you put the sugar in with that, you would have rocks. Well, okay, that's ready to go. All right. You kind of pat your dough into a rectangle
Okay.
because no, this one. Yeah, it's got the sugar in it. Now, what you do is this. You scoop up a good handful and you make a center line down the middle of the dough.
Yep.
And
Oh, I see. You just kind of fold it over
like a strudel.
and close them all in. Yep. And close all the nuts inside.
Yeah, almost like a strudel.
Yep. Now, who taught you this recipe? Your mom?
Pardon?
Who taught you the recipe?
Sally learned it from a friend of hers when we lived on Main Street.
Oh,
And I learned it from her. And you have to be quick.
oh, you flip it right upside down on the tray.
Yeah.
Oh.
And then when you get the tray done, you cut it. You slice it.
Okay.
You cut them on an angle. You don't cut them across. You cut them on an angle.
You cut it all the way through.
All the way through. You should get 10 to 12 cuts to a loaf. Now we're going to decorate them. Coming up. And
Now, what would you do? You'd bake this at what?
you bake it at 350 to 375. Starting it on there, I'm going to have to ask you to move or you're going to get a hot seat.
So you
Okay,
set it
now
at
you go on to the next
375.
375.
And how long do they bake?
Oh, 20 to 30 minutes.
Okay. Got 'em.
Until they become golden. Then
then-
I raise it and then put the second one on the bottom.
So
And
how many minutes is that till they get golden? About 15?
you have to just watch them.
Okay.
I don't know.
Okay.
Now I will make the syrup. The syrup that I usually make is 4 cups of sugar to 3 cups of water. And I measure it. Whoa. Go through.
Okay. Now, do you add any flavoring to this syrup? Any?
Not now.
Yeah. He was in here sleeping.
Now that cooks on the stove till it gets thick?
Yeah.
He's been
And you don't put a high fire, you put a low
fire?
fire.
No, he's missing.
Because
You make your bed, I'm doing
what
laundry.
it'll do, it'll boil and you'll have a whole stove crusted with sugar and with syrup. Totally together.
And you dissolve it down?
Yeah, it'll, as it heats up, the sugar will dissolve. And you let it simmer until it reaches a certain degree of thickness. Daylight. No, see what I did is I put the broiler on, and it'll give them just a golden.
Color.
Yeah, that's all.
They've been baking for about 25 minutes now.
Yeah.
And lighten up the top. The syrup's just
Now
about
we're gonna take the
just
syrup.
about done, yeah. You can make syrup ahead and keep it in the refrigerator for months. Sugar water
For longer.
with lemon and orange blossom water, and use that up if you need to. Just going to add lemon.
Normally when you squeeze it, you squeeze maybe a half a lemon or a little bit more depending on how much syrup you're
That's 2
making.
tablespoons there, stirred in. Lemon juice prevents it from crystallizing, so it's nice and smooth and it doesn't turn to crystals when you pour it on the cookies.
So I'm just going to put a little bit
Then what is that?
orange blossom water. This is the flavoring.
And that thickens it up?
No, it just flavors it. But what I'm going to do, I'm going to add these to that, and it will cause the syrup to thicken up, as you will see. See?
Mm-hmm. Didn't have any extra or that syrup already in the fridge, how long would that syrup take to cook down to get
Oh,
thick?
not
A half
maybe
hour?
15 minutes. No,
Okay.
it doesn't take long.
Uh-huh.
Now it needs to thicken up a little. A little bit, not much.
Now you're spooning on the syrup after it's
Yes.
thickened.
Well, just tell me those 25 more than I didn't
And
count them.
try to get the syrup in between so that the nuts, the sugar that may not have melted will have melted in the cookie. What I will do is after I give them all an initial dose of syrup, then I will take this and go over it until they are thoroughly covered, but not to be soggy. Now I will use this instead of adding more. I will use this to cover them, and then I will pour off the excess. I won't leave it on the tray.
This is the completed cookie, already glazed, sitting. Once the syrup is poured over them, you drain off the syrup back into the pan so they're not soggy, and then they are completed. They took about a total of 40 minutes of cooking, and she put it on broil to lighten the tops, to brown the tops off. Let them cool down a little before she poured the syrup on. They look beautiful.
That's all for today. We'll see you next time when we start making something else.